Hello, everyone. Welcome to Insight Sports Talk with your host, Johanna-Rosalye, on this beautiful Wednesday evening. And I am joined today alongside my amazing co host, Ed Cole. How are you?
Joanna, good evening. How are you, sis?
I am wonderful.
When are you never not wonderful? Hardly ever.
When I'm not feeling wonderful,
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty succinct. You got right to the point. Yeah.
just saying.
It's all a
Black and
part of
white.
all a part of being a human. Yes, we all have those days.
Yes, we do. But I am excited to be back on this week. Another show, us more news. You've had a lot of that has happened over the last week in the NFL, the NBA, MLB, not so much. Still in limbo with the lockout there, which we will touch in the later part of the show. But we're going to go ahead and kick it off with NFL. We're going to go ahead and recap the championship games over the past weekend, look ahead to the Super Bowl, talk a little bit about Tom Brady and his retirement, which has now been made official by Tom Brady. And then we will also be touching on the lawsuit that Brian Flores has he has put forth against the NFL and three of the NFL teams, the Dolphins, the Broncos, and the Giants. So we will go ahead and touch on those things. And then we will also talk a little bit of the NBA. We have the All-Star game that's just right around the corner here coming very soon. And then we have the Phoenix Suns, of course, who are the hot team not only in the Western Conference, but we also have they are number one in the league as well. So we'll be talking about them and their coach, Monty Williams, with some great news that the Suns and the NBA released earlier today. And then we will go ahead and from there talk a little bit of MLB in that lockout situation. Are you ready for an awesome show, Ed?
Absolutely. Let's get it
Yes.
started.
Are you sure? You
Yes.
don't sound too excited. Are you
No,
sure? Are you positive?
I was just holding off in case you had more news to put inside there, other stuff we were going to cover. I was waiting till you were completely done because it has been that kind of time period as far as news is concerned. So who knows? You may have seen something else that I didn't see that you wanted to add on.
I know there's just so much happening and, minute by minute, day by day, but these will be the hot topics that we'll be talking about today. That nothing else other than that, unless something breaking does happen between in the next hour or so of the show. But so Ed, I have to ask you, how do you feel about these last two games that happened over the weekend with the championship games? We had two great games. One with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs going at it on Sunday, early Sunday. And then we had the later game, which was the San Francisco 49ers and the Los Angeles Rams in SoFi Stadium, which is the home of the Super Bowl this year, just 2 weeks away about 2 weeks away, a little bit less.
Less. Mm-hmm.
But I have to do my math. My math isn't working out for me today. But we had the Bengals. Oh my gosh, beat. It was a very close game. It was a really good game. Bengals beat the Kansas City Chiefs 27-24, and we had the 49ers who just came shy and then just came at a loss at the end of the game against the Rams, 7-20. LA going and advancing to the Super Bowl in their home city, in their home state. Although they will not be the home team, the Cincinnati Bengals will be the home team in the Super Bowl.
That is an odd quirk because every other year it alternates between the AFC and the NFC who's the home team. So this year it's the Bengals. Last year was the NFC team. It was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who were the home team in their own stadium at Raymond James Stadium. But for the Rams, it is what it is. I wonder that's the thing. I wonder if they'll be able to dress in their own locker room, Joanna, or will they have to take like maybe the Chargers locker room or maybe an alternate locker because they're not the designated home team. So would the Bengals have their own locker? room, or would they keep their own locker space? That's pretty. I wonder.
That is very interesting. Who knows? I don't know. It can go any which way. I don't really foresee that the Rams would give up their locker room.
No, true. Yeah.
It is their home stadium. So I don't know. Well, who knows? Things that may change. That's out of our realm, out of our knowledge, and I'm sure that we'll come to find that out possibly. But
I'll work it out.
Let's go ahead and do a little bit of recap, starting off with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs game. And I was one for one. I was only got half of it right. The Bengals, gave me the win. I was happy about that.
I got them both wrong.
Huh?
I got them both wrong.
You did get them both wrong. I went with the away teams and you went with the home teams.
No, I thought I went with the 49ers over the Rams, and I picked the Chiefs over the Bengals.
Did you? Oh.
Yep.
Okay, I thought you had gone for the home teams. Okay, never mind. I stand corrected. See, if you would have gone for that's right. Because if you would have gone for the home teams, you would have gotten the 2 games.
Yep. For a minute there, it looked like it was going to be the 49ers. They had a 17-7 lead, and then like they had a couple of weeks ago when the Rams had that lead on the 49ers, remember that? And then the Niners rallied back and won that game to get them into the playoffs. So the Rams exacted a little bit of revenge by coming back in a similar kind of fashion to go to the Super Bowl. That was crazy. Yeah. And also the Bengals coming back from a 21-3 deficit, Joe, in the AFC Championship game in that stadium out at Arrowhead, when it looked like Mahomes and the Chiefs were going to run away with that thing. They got 3 consecutive touchdown drives, and it looked like, oh my gosh, the Bengals were in trouble. But that kid, Joe Burrow, I love that kid. He's just unflappable. The kid is he's all business. You can tell every time they zoom the camera in and you looked at his facial expression, it was just like, okay, it's business. Let's lace him back up. And he rallied them back, and they got that win in overtime. The kid, Evan McPherson, the rookie kicker, is 11 for 11 this postseason, Johanna, and he kicked him to the Super Bowl. I mean, you cannot make up these stories. They are phenomenal stories.
No, they can be like pretty much made out of a movie, and I just have to give it up to Joe Burrow, because he went into a championship title game and won it when he was in college, his last year in college football. That was in 2019. And now he's going to the Super Bowl, taking his team, the Cincinnati Bengals, to the Super Bowl. So this guy, has just been able to prove a lot of people wrong, because some people weren't, they weren't too, I would say, too excited, or that he was going to, bring too much success. And he did have his struggles, but he was able to go ahead and turn them around. And at Cincinnati, like they did fall behind. They were behind in the first half of the game, only 10 versus the 21 points against the Chiefs going into the halftime. And then just Cincinnati Bengals were just able to go ahead and turn that around. That game went into overtime, and Cincinnati just being able to go ahead and capitalize on that, and taking the win over the Chiefs, and Patrick Mahomes, because he and the Chiefs were the favorite to win that game and advance to the Super Bowl once again. But Joe Burrow said, not happening. And here we are.
All season long, the Bengals have been one of the best comeback teams in the National Football League in the second half, and we saw it on Sunday. Mahomes had 220 yards, Joanna, and those 3 touchdowns in the first half. Guess how many he had in the second half? As far as yards, he had 55. Touchdowns, none. So that defense completely bottled him up, shut him down. And I think that play right before halftime, when he tried to get that little screen pass, that little swing pass to Tyreek Hill, and he tried to get that touchdown right before the half, and the defense stopped them. The Bengals stopped them instead of them running Tyreek maybe on a different route, or trying to look for Kelsey maybe in the end zone, or McKinnon or one of his other receivers. The fact that they did not score on that drive gave Cincinnati that momentum going into halftime, Joe, and they're like, okay, wow, this is the punch that we need. And also Samaje Perine getting that 41-yard touchdown also pretty much right before that drive. That got them, as you mentioned, to within 21-10. So you could feel the momentum kind of changing and moving in their direction, Joanna. But that stop right before halftime to deny the Chiefs of getting that 28th point. That was huge for Cincinnati. And then, of course, they turned it around in the third quarter, shut down Mahomes, and they ran up 21 straight points. 24 straight points to take the lead. And then, of course, Harrison Butker kicks the field goal right at the gun. They go to overtime. And then Mahomes throws an interception, the first interception he's ever thrown in any AFC championship game, Joanna. That's crazy. 12 touchdowns. That was his first INT in all 4 AFC championship games he's ever played in. And it couldn't have come at a worse time. And then we mentioned the rookie goes down. He kicks the 31-yard field goal, and they're going to Hollywood. How great is that?
They are. I want to go ahead and tag along and go to Hollywood as well.
It's only a 6-hour. It's only a 6-hour drive. It's not far. Yeah,
not bad. Who knows?
Tickets are only what, $6,000-$7,000. Yeah, just take that out of petty cash. You can afford that. Huh?
No, I'm not paying. I'm not paying for a ticket if I can help it.
Oh. Well, how are you getting in?
I'll find a way. There's always a way, Ed. Always a way.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, good luck with that.
All right, thank you.
So your thoughts on the Chiefs, the Bengals game, for them coming back? That was just amazing. It sucked for the Bengals to lose CJ Uzomah, their heralded tight end. They lost him early in the game. But in that situation, Joe, as we talk about in sports, we always talk about that next man up theory, right? That's one of our main mantras. When guys go down, other guys need to step up. A guy like T. Higgins, 6 catches for 103 yards. Jamar Chase, even though they bottled him up pretty much, he still got a touchdown catch, 6 catches. And P. Ryan, we talked about his touchdown, his 41-yarder. It's just everybody needed to contribute to knock off the Chiefs, and they did just that. Burrow remained unflappable, just as cool as the other side of the pillow, like Stuart Scott, the late Stuart Scott would say. Bless his heart, rest in peace. That was one of my favorite sayings from Stuart Scott. I guess I'm going off on a tangent, but I don't know. He's just cool like that. Joe Burrow is.
I was gonna say, who are you talking about? Who's cool like that?
Stuart was in his day. Stuart was the man.
I know. I love the guy.
Yeah. We lost him too early. Oh man.
We definitely did. But yes, Joe Burrow has definitely proven himself, and that was just a heck of a game, because once I saw the Bengals falling behind and having the Chiefs, seeing them have that momentum in that first half. Usually you don't see them falter when they're in such a zone, and especially Patrick Mahomes. So Burrow did everything he needed to do, and it just fell into place for him to just, in that second half, be able to go ahead and turn it around. You just, mentioned all those key points in the game, and that was, for the Bengals to go ahead and be able to come up with that win, and especially, going, well, not only during regulation, but going into overtime. So,
right.
Which is going to be probably one of the things after this season that's probably going to be even discussed, and probably more than likely even changed, the overtime rules. So, because that's been a little, somewhat of a controversy, and I'm sure that's going to be something that will be talked about more once the season does come to an end after the Super Bowl concludes. But I just gotta, give it to the Bengals, because I know they were counted out a long time ago. They surprised even me. So I just gotta give it up to the rookie, quarterback, and to do the unexpected, and good luck to him.
Yeah, and again, credit his defense. Tyreek Hill, before the half, he had 7 catches for 78 yards and a touchdown. Guess how many he had in the second half? None. 0. You shut down arguably the most dangerous athlete in sports, in football, Tyreek Hill. You hold him to no catches, no yards, nothing in the second half. And again, we talked about Mahomes only throwing for 55 yards and no touchdowns. That's just as great as Burrow was. He was mediocre in the first half. I think he was trying to get the feel for what the Chiefs were trying to throw at him, Joanna, and he was trying to kind of settle himself, because it was his first AFC championship game, the biggest game outside of that national championship you mentioned a couple years ago for LSU. So he was trying to get his wits about himself, but his defense really helped him out so strongly in that second half. And then that offense started clicking, and then Cincinnati was on a roll, and that special teams. How many times do we always go back to all 3 phases of a football team, Joanna? Has to be in perfect harmony if you want to make it to the biggest game of the season, which is Super Bowl 56. Cincinnati that day, a couple of days ago, they had everything clicking, and that's why they're going to be in Hollywood in 11 days.
Definitely. That definitely set the tone and made all the difference for the Cincinnati Bengals. But now we'll go ahead and moving ahead into the San Francisco 49ers and the Rams. So disappointed. I am so sad. Or have gotten over it. But Jimmy G let me down. I had so much hope that he would go ahead and move on and go into the Super Bowl. But that did not happen. Yeah.
When you talk about Jimmy G, we talked about it in the Green Bay game the week before prior. Would Jimmy G do just enough to get you a victory at Lambeau and not destroy your chances of beating Rodgers and the Packers? That day he did. On Sunday he did. He threw for 232 and a touchdown, but that interception he threw at the end, Kyler Murray-esque, when he's under pressure and he just flips that ball away, Joanna, when they're trying to rally after Matt Gay kicks a second straight field goal and they're trying to drive to at least maybe tie the game, send it to overtime, and he's in the grasp. What was he like? Kyler a couple weeks ago in that wild card game, you're thinking, what is Jimmy G thinking? Take the sack. Worst case scenario, take the sack or throw the ball away instead of trying to flip the ball and try to make something happen in the own area of you're in your own area. You're not in the Rams area. You're in your own section, and then that pretty much kills the game. But for the Rams to rally back again, they were down 17-7, and then they run off 13 straight points to get that victory.
Yeah, exactly. They had the lead throughout, most of the game for all three quarters. And in that fourth quarter was just that, that pivotal moment for the San Francisco 49ers and more importantly for the Rams, because that's when they were able to go ahead and turn around. And those 13 points against 0 for the Rams were, what they needed. And seeing that pick, it was just, I could not believe my eyes. I was beside myself. And that's one of the things, yes, we did talk about too. But, the Rams, they're just, and we said it before, Ed, they're like the perfect team because they have it all. Their offense, their defense, and Stafford is able to pull tricks out of his sleeve, and then just to be able to go ahead and just win. It's unbelievable because I honestly thought the Rams are done going into the fourth quarter, but my mistake. I know better. I shouldn't, I know better than to say that.
Yeah, when you've got outside of Devontae Adams, when you've got arguably the best wide receiver in Cooper Kupp, and he showed up and showed out again big like he did just the week before in Tampa. He gets 142 yards receiving, Joe, 2 touchdowns, 11 catches, and then Odell steps up with 9 catches for 113. Your 2 main targets, Joanna, 255 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Stafford throws for 337. And that defense, as you mentioned, the defense, when it needs to step up and shut down, that's what the Rams do. That defense is spectacular. That is a Super Bowl caliber defense. And that's why they brought Matthew Stafford. That's why they gave up those picks. They sent Jared Goff to Detroit because they wanted to bring Matthew Stafford in for this exact reason, to get them to the Super Bowl, because that's why they spent $5 billion for SoFi Stadium for this moment. The NFL is like, we're going to spend $5 billion on the stadium. Doggone it, if we're going to have the Rams, that we're going to try to at least get in there and host the Super Bowl, play in our own stadium. And that's why we're spending all this money, and we bring Stafford in, and it's working out well for him. We'll see what happens in 11 days when they go up against Burrow and the Bengals.
Yeah, definitely that was nonetheless, despite of the outcome between the 49ers and the Rams, that was still a great and fun game to watch.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it
regardless.
was.
So
it was.
I'm gonna go back and rewatch it and watch it on replay on the app. But
so to go back to Jimmy G, Joe. So he spoke to reporters just recently, saying that he pretty much expects to get traded. The 49ers are not going to bring him back. Who do you think would be interested in Jimmy? I mean, we know there's an opening in Pittsburgh. We know that Ben Roethlisberger is retired. Could he potentially go to Pittsburgh? Tampa, yeah. Tom's gone. New Orleans, maybe. Taysom Hill, his health has been up and down. We don't know how effective he can be from a health standpoint. New Orleans could be a fit for him. Denver, maybe.
It's a good question. I don't know. It's hard to really pinpoint that right now because I really want to see for each of these teams before selecting a quarterback, what are their, all their other pieces, all the players that they will have. And depending off of that, off of those pieces, what's going to be able to go ahead and be best for Jimmy. But at the same time, you can't always think that, you can always work that way. And sometimes you have to have the quarterback and then work around or bring those pieces, and that's going to help the quarterback. So as it stands right now, I can see, hey, he learned from the best, and what would be a greatest honor than to go ahead and fill in for the GOAT and step in those shoes and be able to, be somewhat of a, model after him, which is Tom Brady. So they have that,
Possibly.
And he has a little bit of, I do see a little bit of that play and that style in Jimmy G. He's still, of course, growing and as a quarterback and, establishing his style. He's still young. He has many years to go, but, possibly he depends on who goes and who stays with Tampa Bay and with the Bucks. I think maybe will be a good fit for him.
Yeah.
So
maybe,
or maybe he does go back east and brings the Pittsburgh Steelers and back and on the rise and is able to go ahead and capitalize that because we know how that team is and that fan base, and could probably be a nice home for him and establish something there.
Maybe the Washington Commanders. Now that they got their new name, we know they are the Washington Commanders. Maybe they maybe take a look at Jimmy G. I read in a report saying that the Commanders Freudian slip. I'm so used to saying that name.
Yes, it's the name that we've known for many, many years. It's going to be taking some getting used to. It is.
But it looks like the Commanders, they say they're going to go all out to try to get a franchise quarterback. So maybe they may take a look at Jimmy and see, new team, new look, new uniforms, new feeling, new attitude with this football team. Maybe Jimmy G might get a look from Ron Rivera and the Commanders. Who knows?
Yeah. It also probably, the other thing is that will come into play is going to be the coach. Your head coach is Bruce Arians staying in Tampa Bay. Who's going to be the coach for New Orleans Saints?
Yeah, who's taking over after Sean Payton, right? Yes.
Exactly. So those are going to be other key factors to consider as you're putting a team together. You're putting, and all of the, everything, all of those components. I can't speak, but yes,
that should be interesting. We'll see.
So there are a lot of moving pieces, but coming back to the Super Bowl and what will be the Cincinnati Bengals and the Los Angeles Rams. Cincinnati Bengals, as we mentioned it, they are the home team in this Super Bowl in SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles and Hollywood. And the Bengals will be wearing their black uniforms. So I think that's going to be super, super cool. So I'm excited to see this matchup. And I do, after seeing every single possible possibility throughout these playoffs, Ed, I don't know what more we can, we haven't seen that we can, still capture in the Super Bowl. Because this has been one of the best championship or Super Bowl runs, I think, ever.
Playoffs wise, yes. Outside of a blowout or two in the first round, I remember New England and Buffalo. That was a blowout game. The Eagles and the Buccaneers, that was pretty much a blowout game. But every other game, at least to my recollection, has been really good. And we hope it culminates with a fantastic game at SoFi Sunday after next. That would be a great way for the season to end. And I just hope it just is as thrilling as it's been over the last couple of weeks, because it has been some of the best football I've ever seen. I'm sure you will agree that's probably some of the best football you've ever seen. And folks, I'm sure you will agree with us, it's some of the best football you've ever seen.
No, definitely. Can't remember, I just remember watching football since I was, a kid. And I've seen some pretty darn great stuff out there, and even just highlights from prior, before my time. But this season and these games were just something else, nothing like ever before.
Yeah.
So I have no expectations going into the Super Bowl, because I'm not trying to disappoint myself and put it up here in a pedestal. It's going to be this great, and then what if it doesn't turn out to be? But I'm excited for the game. I'm also excited for the halftime show, because that is going to be out of this world, having some artists sing during this halftime show, which you and I and those of generations, they know a lot of these artists, which is Mary J. Blige, Dr. Dre, Eminem, just to name a few, who will be Snoop Dogg, part of this halftime show. So I'm excited, and a lot of the younger generations, Gen Z or millennials, will be taken aback, and a lot of them don't know who these artists are, so they're going to just be able to capture a whole other generation, as in the fans as well. But coming back to the game, who do you pick as your winner, Ed? Who do you think is going to be the Super Bowl champion?
We have a whole nother show before the Super Bowl, don't we? You want to give out the picks 11 days before the game? Instead of...
Or not.
Yeah, we can wait. No?
Okay.
Let's do it next Monday. The Monday before the Super Bowl.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. We can do it now if you want. I'm just kidding. Oh gosh. I would love to see Cincinnati win this thing. What they haven't been to they didn't win a playoff game until they beat Las Vegas. That was their first playoff win in 30 plus years, Joanna. They haven't been to the Super Bowl since '89 when they played the 49ers, when Joe Montana killed them with a John Taylor 10-yard touchdown catch in Miami. I remember that game like it was yesterday. And last year they won 4 games, Joe. That was the year they lost Joe Burrow to that ACL injury. The year before, they won 2 games. So the rapid ascent under Zach Taylor, he was under fire. People were talking, they wanted his head. They wanted Zach Taylor out of there because they weren't winning. He was not producing. They were not winning games, and the Bengals fan base was not happy. You think they're happy with him now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're pretty happy with him. Oh my gosh!
So your answer is Cincinnati Bengals?
Yes, I would like to see Cincinnati win this thing. I love Burrow and Chase, Higgins, Joe Mixon, everybody they have on defense. They've got an outstanding defense, and that would be a great feel-good story for Cincinnati to again win their first championships and their first Super Bowl since 30 years ago when they played the Niners. It'd be great. They've been there twice, lost both of them. They lost back in '82 and '89, and it'd be great for them to get their first championship after having not been in the playoffs for 3 decades plus.
Going for the Cinderella story, I see.
Yes. Yep.
Nice. But I am going to jump on board with that, and I'm going to go and cheer for the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow as well. I know LA, we said it, they have all the pieces and everything, and a contender to, and a favorite to win the Super Bowl. So, but what do I like to do? I like to do the opposite, or root for the opposite a lot of times, don't I, Ed?
Yep.
And of course, being a Cardinals fan as well, it's kind of difficult it is difficult to cheer for an LA team.
It would be hard to have a world champion in your division that you have to face twice a year. That would be really hard.
Mhm.
But in the case of the Rams, Joanna, in a way, I would like to see them win because I want Stafford to get his championship. I want him to get a championship. I want Odell to get a championship. I want Aaron Donald to get a championship. I want these guys to win. Even though I'm going for the Bengals, I would not be upset if the Rams won, just for the fact that those men would get a championship. I like Sean McVay.
So now you want the Rams to win over Cincinnati Bengals?
If they should win the game for those reasons, I would be okay with it. I'll be all right with it.
You can pick both teams. You have to side with one.
Oh, I'm still siding with the Bengals, but should the Rams? Did you hear what I said? I said should the Rams win? I prefaced it by saying should the Rams win, it'd be great for Stafford to get his first championship.
But then you also did say that you want them to win. So just clarifying.
I would like them I would like them to win if they win for Stafford and the aforementioned gentleman also. I don't know. Yeah, I'm a Matthew Stafford fan. I want him to get a championship.
You are 50-50, Ed.
Yeah, I know. I'm on the
unacceptable.
That's why
PLR. I need to call PLR and get him on here and tell you that no, you can't do that.
That's why you don't ask. That's why you don't ask 11 days before the Super Bowl. Who am I going for? Give me another week to pick. That's why you don't do it.
You know me. You know that I don't do the norm.
Well, yeah. Even before the season, we always give our picks. Who do we expect to be in the Super Bowl before week 1, right? Or in the preseason? Who's our Super Bowl favorite? Who are we picking this year? So why would you not continue with that trend and do it 11 days before the Super Bowl instead of 5 days before it?
I will not be staying true to myself. You know that.
Of course.
Right? So yeah. Always have asked the difficult questions and do the unexpected. So have to keep with that. Come on, Ed. You know that. You know that. Mm-hmm. You know me. Can't expect me to change that.
Okay. Okay. So what's Aaron Rodgers' future? Why you're throwing out questions about futures and what's going to happen?
That's not on the list. We're going off tangent now.
Oh, okay.
So now we will leave that for next week.
Okay.
Because then we're not going to be able to have, enough time to talk Tom Brady and then Brian Flores and then NBA and the Suns and the MLB lockout. Jeez, you still have a lot to cover, Ed. We need to go boom, boom, boom.
It needs to be a 4-hour show. If we had 4 hours, we'd do it. Goodness.
One day, but not today. So our Super Bowl prediction, my Super Bowl prediction, because you're right down smack in the middle. So that's probably going to change again next week. I'll ask you again tomorrow. But my Super Bowl prediction is Cincinnati Bengals.
That's why you don't ask 11 days before the Super Bowl. Ask a week from now. Bengals, okay.
Moving on. So the other news
I'm right.
The week.
I'm right.
The other news of the week that dropped was Tom Brady. Or Tampa Brady, like I like to call him. Well, he's no longer going to be Tampa Brady. It's no longer going to be a Tampa Brady because there's not going to be a Tom Brady in the NFL. He announced officially his retirement yesterday, Tuesday, and nothing but a celebration became of it, Ed, throughout social media. I don't know if you follow Tom Brady on social media, but it was just an outpour of just congratulations or best wishes and just an honor to have played with a guy of his caliber. And I'm not saying I'm going to say one, but probably, and then more than, I will say that the best in the NFL to have played, in the league, just quarterback in the league ever. So, we do know that he won 7 Super Bowls or championships. So we can go down the list of things that he's just accomplished. This, history he's made is just, we don't have enough time for that, unfortunately. But now who's going to fill those shoes, after Tom Brady? And because he just leaves a tremendous void, not only with the team, but just in the league, and you're not going to get something, or you're not going to see a player like Tom Brady in who knows how many more years. That comes one every, I don't know, one
Once in a
lifetime, I
generation.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the league is set up very well, Joanna, for the future. And we're seeing it so far in the playoffs with these young quarterbacks, with Josh Allen and Mahomes, the aforementioned Joe Burrow. You've got so much quarterback talent out there. You've got the young man out with the Chargers playing so well. The young man from Oregon who's playing so well for the Los Angeles Chargers. The league will continue to go on because it has to. It's a multi-billion-dollar business, and it's going to continue to go on. Justin Herbert is his name. It just came to me, but it's a multi-billion-dollar corporation, Joe. The show don't stop just because Tom Brady retired. He is the greatest of all time, yes. And looking at his numbers, in 22 years, Joanna, he's lost 73 games in 22 years. That is unbelievable. Almost 85,000 yards passing. You mentioned the 7 Super Bowls. That'll never be replicated. I don't see that. That will never happen again. One man, one person winning 7 world championships. It'll never be duplicated. But yes, he's definitely a first ballot Hall of Famer. And if he's not a unanimous Hall of Famer, I'm sure there may be some writers and some media members that may have an issue with Tom Brady. He may or may not be unanimous, but he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's for doggone sure.
Yes. And then Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner, released a statement on Tom Brady, which I will go ahead and read a little bit of this, which states, Tom Brady will be remembered as one of the greatest to ever play in the NFL, an incredible competitor and leader. His stellar career is remarkable for its longevity, but also for the sustained excellence he displayed year after year. Tom made everyone around him better and always seemed to rise to the occasion in the biggest moments. His record, 5 Super Bowl MVP awards and 7 Super Bowl championships, set a standard that players will chase for years. He goes on to say he inspired fans in New England, Tampa, and around the world with one of the greatest careers in NFL history. It has been a privilege to watch him compete and have him in the NFL. We thank him for his many contributions to our game and wish Tom Brady and his family all the best in the future. And, he nailed it, and is just one of the things, and it's true. He rose to the occasion every single moment. In those pivotal moments, he rose. And even on the ones that were not victorious, he still rose to the occasion, and he just had another type of mentality. So that's going to be, you're not going to be able to replicate that, and whoever comes along has major shoes to fill following Tom Brady.
The wavelength that he was on when he would play football, it was on a different level, on a different plane, Joanna. And every team he played for, it was only 2, the Patriots and the Buccaneers. He would raise his players, his teammates up to that same level, and that's why you win 7 championships, because you're thinking on a different level than everybody else in the league. And it's just, wow, how do you not bring the entire organization with you as you're winning these championships?
Yeah. And one of the things too that it goes back to, and he's just sets a whole other standard, like just a Tom Brady standard. It's like Kobe Bryant in NBA is Tom Brady in the NFL.
Yeah, Kobe, MJ.
We saw, I got to see him. I don't know if you recall, but he would be practicing and playing and training during the off season. After the Super Bowl, yes, he went out and had a party. They all celebrated the Super Bowl, the win, and everything. But days later, what was he doing? He was out there training, back to work. What was his favorite Super Bowl? Super Bowl ring? The next one. Now he doesn't have a next one. This is it for Tom Brady. But just that's the type of person Tom Brady is. Not only on the field and as a player, just all the way around. He's launched businesses, he's co-founded companies, And I know, that's going to go ahead and set, an example, and he's going to live to that expectation with what he does next. So there's just, we can just go ahead and keep talking about Tom Brady, but but I just, I'm just honored to be able to go ahead and see him and follow his career. Because I remember when he just first started, I was youngin', but I was like, I love this guy, just the way he played. And there was just something about him that just attracted, that was just an attraction to see him play. Yes. And the trajectory that he has had in his career is just out of this world. But your last comment on Tom Brady before we move on to our next story.
There'll never be another one like Tom. As you mentioned, it will be a void in the NFL, but the league will be okay, and Tom will continue to go on. He's, as you mentioned, he's got so many business ventures. I'm sure the networks will be clamoring to get Tom in the booth, whether it's in a color analyst position or whether he goes out on the speaking circuit. Whatever Tom decides to do next in his life, it'll succeed. It'll succeed just like everything else he's put his hands on. Everything he has touched, Joanna, has turned to gold, pure gold, 24 karat.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally. And yeah, we can keep talking about this, but I think we should just do a Tom Brady, special segment, because we can just talk about him for days, for hours, etc. But I'm going to go ahead and move on to I want to say the story of the week, maybe even the story of the year, or the news is, we mentioned it at the start of the show, is Brian Flores is suing NFL and 3 teams, Dolphins, the Broncos, and the Giants, alleging discrimination in the interview process with the Denver Broncos, the New York Jets, and also coming down to his firing from Miami. Also has been word that he was offered money in 2019 for the team to lose games, and in order to go ahead and obtain a better draft pick for the NFL draft. So there is a lot coming out of the woodwork, a lot of that's coming and coming to the surface out of this story. And there's other teams that also have been mentioned in the lawsuit. There are coaches, there are players. This is just open. I don't want to say, maybe it's more than a can of worms. It's just opened the floodgates. The NFL did release a statement on Brian Flores' lawsuit, which states the NFL and our clubs are deeply committed to ensuring equitable employment practices and continue to make progress in providing equitable opportunities throughout our organizations. Diversity is core to everything we do, and there are few issues in which our clubs and our internal leadership team spend more time. We will defend against these claims, which are without merit. Ed, I turn to you.
It is more than a can of worms, Joanna. This is a major explosion for Flores to come out and have this come out right now when he's bringing in the New York Giants, the Denver Broncos, and the Miami Dolphins, and the Arizona Cardinals were another team that was mentioned in the lawsuit about Steve Wilkes at the time, the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. He didn't have that best of a season. It was pretty much named as a double standard in the lawsuit that Steve Wilkes was unceremoniously fired after the season he had, when it was just a disastrous season for Wilkes. And then it's so unfortunate that but it is time to rip off that Band-Aid, Joanna. And you're sitting here wondering why Brian Flores, he gets back-to-back winning seasons for the Miami Dolphins, yet he's fired. And his accusations, him saying that Stephen Ross, the owner of the Dolphins, offered him $100,000 to tank games so they can get better position for better draft picks and so they can have a younger football team. And him standing up and saying, No, Coach Ross. I really truly believe there were also reports that there was some friction between him and Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback for the Dolphins, and that may have been one of the main reasons why also Flores was shown the door. But now his accusations that the owner Stephen Ross would offer him that kind of money and have him in that kind of a position to just continue to tank games for positioning and for draft picks, and it's wow, it is really sad that it is a sad state of affairs. And now Hugh Jackson has come out just recently saying some similar situations happened with him in the Cleveland Browns, Joanna, when he was the head coach there, that Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Browns, would have offered him. It wasn't, he didn't say what the dollar amount was, but Haslam, according to Jackson, offered him a similar kind of scenario for them to lose games, which is why he was 1-31 in his first 2 seasons, Joanna. Remember that one season they went 0-16, they were 1-15 his first year. So now it's kind of timely, and according to Hugh Jackson and Brian Flores, there are going to be more coaches that are going to come out in the wake of Flores and Jackson coming out with these accusations for the Browns and these other football teams having these practices as far as tanking games and just their treatment or lack of treatment as far as minority head coaches getting interviews, and the whole scenario with the New York Giants and how they hired Brian Daboll, the head coach for the New York Giants now, and the texts that came between Bill Belichick and who we thought he was referring to in Daboll, but it actually went to Brian Flores, and that's a whole fiasco in itself.
Yes, and that's exactly where I was going to go ahead and go towards this. Was that this actually during the interview process with the New York Giants? I said Jets earlier. Sorry, I meant the Giants. Flores interviewed for the vacant head coaching position there, and he claims that it was under sham circumstances. So yeah, and then yes, Belichick does text Brian Flores, and then Brian ends up finding out that he didn't get the job, and that the other Brian did, and it comes out of Bill Belichick. So there's so much that's going to go ahead and be uncovered here, and it's just we're going to have to hold on to our seats and brace ourselves to see how much deeper this goes, and it's going to be a fluid situation. It's going to, who knows how long this is going to be ongoing. It'll just each day or each week there's going to be something new that's going to come to light. So it's just unfortunate that this we're seeing this happen. Am I surprised? No, I am not. It was only a matter of time before someone did take this step to stand up to the NFL and its teams. So, and it has come to be Brian Flores. So, and we will see what comes of this. And we'll continue ahead and bringing you the updates and the news as we find out more.
And Joe, it'll be interesting to see what the future of Coach Flores is. He's a finalist for that Houston Texans head coaching job, and he's also just had an interview for the New Orleans Saints head coaching job. We talked about Sean Payton, who would replace him as head coach of the New Orleans Saints. And according to the owner of the Saints, everything went well with that interview, and Coach Flores told them that he's still going to go ahead with this lawsuit, even though he went along with the interview with the Saints. So I like the fact that Coach Flores is sticking to his guns, and he is not backing down, because he says he has to be the next agent of change in the National Football League, Joanna. And who better to do it than him? If he felt that he was unfairly treated with the Miami Dolphins because of Stephen Ross and what he claims were him, again, trying to offer him that kind of money for tanking, then that's not fair for Coach Flores to go through that scenario, because he's trying to do his best job, Joanna, as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, to win games for that organization. And again, they had back-to-back winning seasons under Flores, and he got fired because of what a potential conflict it would have been between him and Ross. That's not fair. It's not right.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, we'll definitely come to find out more. And there's a lot that isn't right with this. We won't get into all of the details, at least, now, and we'll see what more we find out. And as we find out more, we're bringing it on the air here. But I want to go ahead and move on to the NBA, Ed. with the Phoenix Suns, who are the hottest team in the league. They have now gone on 11 straight victories. Another winning season, another winning streak for the Suns. Just another day at the office for this team. Literally on fire. They did defeat the Brooklyn Nets, 111 to 129. It was a great game, nonetheless, at Footprint Center on Tuesday night. But not only that, Ed, the Phoenix Suns are also, which we mentioned earlier, not only the best team in the league, they're, of course, in the Western Conference. They're 3 games ahead of the Golden State Warriors. So that they're just keep, knocking everyone down and out of their way. And, they've just been on fire since they've just been winning after after all of these winning streaks. They'll lose a game, they'll lose, a game or two, but then they come back and they come back stronger. So we'll see how much further they're able to go ahead and take this winning streak. Right now they are 41-9 in the season, the best marker in franchise history. With when in the team, the Phoenix Suns, playing 50 games. So they went 13-1 in the month of January. They were close to being undefeated for another month. They just came, a little bit shy of that. But not only that, Ed, Monty Williams has been named the Western Conference Coach of the Month for second time to receive this honor. So this just has a lot to speak of the team and the organization. And I just don't know what more to say, because they're able to go ahead and work through those hiccups, through the season when they had the COVID, where everyone was being affected by it. The players went down, even Monty went down, and James Jones was just able to go ahead and just the way he works, those pieces is in the players and in the tools, and how he was able to go ahead and bring in these, players that are free agents and give them 10-day contracts. And then from there came Bismack Biyombo, signing him for the rest of the season. We had another player that was just signed, I can't recall his name right now, for a 10-day contract, or they keep getting renewed. And I believe we had just another player as well get signed for a longer term. So it's just been amazing. Not only, Monty, the team stars been able to do, but just all the way around, like I mentioned, James Jones. So yeah, Ed, what is your thoughts on these Phoenix Suns? I can't keep on, just, shining light on them. I can't get at the same time I am biased. So
well, Joanna, you're one of the voices of the Phoenix Suns as one of the Suns broadcasters. So if anybody knows this basketball team, it's you. But for them, as you mentioned, to be 41-9, their best start in team history. And we know that this Suns organization over the last decade or so, it's not been rosy. It's not been good. It's been horrific. But ever since, as you mentioned, the executive of the year, James Jones, has come on board, and he's elevated to the general manager position. And Monty Williams, the 2-time coach of the month so far this season, those two men together, they're like-minded. They have completely righted this ship and calmed what was a raging storm within this organization, the Phoenix Suns. Mm-hmm. And it was an absolute disaster. It was a mess, this organization was. But they have completely flipped this thing. NBA Finals berth last season. So much excitement. And as you mentioned, best start in team history. And they're on an 11-game winning streak. Their second double-digit winning streak of the season. That is incredible. Mm-hmm. They're on an 11-game winning streak, about to hit the road for 4 games: Atlanta, Washington, Chicago, and Philadelphia, before they have a rematch with the world champion Milwaukee Bucks next Thursday at Footprint Center. So that should be pretty exciting. But let them go on the road, handle their business, and get ready to have that first rematch of the NBA Finals. But it is amazing that, as you mentioned, with everything they've been through with COVID and injuries, DeAndre Ayton, thank goodness he came back against the Nets, and Jay Crowder came back against the Nets. Cam Payne's been dealing with some injuries, and JaVale McGee was in and out of the lineup, and other guys suffering injuries. It's been just a stability from the upper management upper management with Jones, and then it goes down to the head coaching with Coach Williams, and just that leadership, that veteran leadership, steadied by Devin Booker, who should be an all-star, but that's another story. And Chris and CP3, who should also be an all-star, but that's another story.
No comment there. Now we'll leave that for another day, because we can then elongate this show even further. But yes, I do not agree with that, because that, of course, did not happen. But let's go ahead and go back to the happy thoughts with the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns did end the month of January with a perfect 8-0 record on the road. So to continue that road record, hopefully, as they will go ahead and be on the road Thursday, tomorrow night, against the Atlanta Hawks. So if that perfect record, well, not perfect record, but if that undefeated record on the road remains, and start a new perfect record for the month of February. And they also posted for the second time this season, the second month, to have a winning percentage above 900. Last time they did that was when they had their record that went 16-0 in November, which we know that went on to go for, I forgot how many games now. I can't think right now, but
and Joe, no team has done that once.
No,
none. Mm-mm. Not even the Warriors when they had their little run. They did not post a 900 winning percentage in a month.
Yep. No one's ever done this. This is the first team to ever do it.
Ever. Yeah.
In the NBA. So they are setting records after records, not only franchise, but NBA history. So we have history in the making here with these Phoenix Suns. And like we mentioned, this All-Star game is around the corner. But however, we will go ahead and be bringing you more of that NBA All-Star talk in our next week's show, and talk about who made it, who didn't make it, who got snubbed, which those are your Phoenix Suns stars. So we will not get into that today.
But let's also congratulate Coach Williams. He's going to be one of the head coaches for the All-Star game. He earned that right.
He is definitely also another honor with Monty Williams in heading that team for the All-Star game in Cleveland. So nothing but great things for the Phoenix Suns and this team. Unfortunately, he will not be able. Well, I'm not saying that he will not be able to share that, but just not in a capacity that I believe, and many of us believe, that is warranted for these star Suns players.
It's crazy because last year at the same time we were talking about that with Devin Booker being snubbed again, and we're like, why would Devin Booker get snubbed for the All-Star game? And we're thinking maybe come next season it'll be a different scenario, but no, same scenario. Even though D Book is playing his tail off for the Suns, he balls night in and night out. But
every single one of these guys are playing their tails off. But let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and dive a little bit deeper into this next show, being that we are coming at the end of our show here. Just a couple of minutes left in the hour. But I do want to go ahead and talk about MLB and the lockout just very briefly, because there has not been very much headway that's been made here. It is now 63 days. We're in day 63 of the MLB lockout. So that really, for me, comes at no surprise. Now it is threatening the spring training. When we typically see pitchers and catchers report about in a week and a half to 2 weeks, now that's more likely, and I expect it for it to not occur, and for spring training to be affected, and maybe not even have a spring training, have that be pushed who knows how further out. And not only that, but the MLB season as well. So they've been meeting a little bit more consecutively, and kind of, in hopes of coming to some type of agreement between MLB and the MLBPA. However, that still appears to be not much that's occurring even as frequently as they are meeting. So, Ed, What do you see that is probably going to? How much longer do we probably even see this happening? So we already know spring training. I know it's not going to happen.
Right. Yeah, we would hope to get at least some spring training games in, but at this point, is if they keep going back and forth and there's minimal movement, as there's a lot of been reports, it's just minimal movement, just minute movement. If it's not major movement, or both sides are going to come to an agreement on, say it's the pre-arbitration bonus pool and all these other situations they're going to throw out with draft picks and a potential NBA like draft lottery, just so many different things that both sides are proposing to the other. Unless they come to a full agreement on a majority of these scenarios, we're gonna miss spring training and potentially part of this opening season, Joanna. But and it's unfortunate if we do miss spring training, because there's gonna be a lot of great baseball missed, and a lot of people who really depend on spring training, workers at these stadiums, and just all the fans that are looking to see their baseball teams here in Arizona and Florida. They'll miss it all. It's going to be really unfortunate if they cannot figure this situation out as quick as possible to at least get some semblance of spring training going and get the regular season started on time.
Yeah, most definitely. You mentioned it, Ed, because spring training is one of the most anticipated moments in sports, and which bring a lot of tourists to Arizona, to Florida, and is just a whole month or so of just baseball, and it's like day after day after day, it's nonstop, and we're just a week away, which would be initiating that spring training calendar, and it's just not happening, and yeah, and
Right.
it's very unfortunate. It's going to affect not only it's going to affect everyone.
Yeah.
MLB is going to lose out a lot of money. Sponsors are going to lose out a lot of money. The venues, like so much, it encompasses so much, and most importantly, who's going to lose out even more? The players.
Yep. And also the state of Arizona, this state here, in the state of Florida, as you mentioned, with all the tourist dollars, all the tourism that goes on for that entire month of spring training, all the money that these two states look forward to having because of spring training, may be all gone.
Yeah. And then I'm just reading here, and from one of the reports is that even the Cubs, at least, are one team that are still sending everything down here to Arizona, despite the lockout, and without knowing is there going to be a spring training or not. How much longer before spring training, if we have one, will start, much less the season.
Well, hopefully they know something we don't. Otherwise, why would they spend that much money to ship all their equipment here if they didn't think something was going to happen?
Yeah, I think it's just more hopeful than
Yeah.
than anything, but who knows? Maybe they might know something. I don't know. So
Yeah.
they will please, fill me in, because the world over here is going to start going into some type of withdrawals once the NFL season's over, and we can't have that.
Yeah, but I don't think billion-dollar companies spend hopeful money, Joanna, shipping equipment, unless they know something's gonna be in place, whether it's a shortened spring training or just some semblance of a spring training. Somebody has to know something. But as you mentioned, or maybe they're just reaching for straws, thinking, "Yeah, I think there's a possibility we may get something going. So let's just ship our stuff out there, and we'll be ready just in case we do spring training."
Yeah, I think it's more being hopeful and trying to remain positive that they will, you know, it will come about sooner. They are. This is the first time that they met so many times, much frequently in the last almost 2 months of a lockout. Or 2 months of the lockout now. So we'll see if they continue to make progress, and when the next their next meeting takes place, should be tomorrow, Thursday, and see if there's any advancement there, and hopefully we can see our baseball back, and seeing our players back out there. Right now we have La Serie del Caribe that's happening in the Dominican Republic, so there is that baseball there, and we know that some of the players are take part in those type of tournaments or series, But we'll, still remains to see what will happen, or they'll go down to Mexico, as well, and take part of those tourneys there and teams as well. So, not everyone is out of playing baseball. They at least have some activity, but not everyone is, that fortunate to at least have and be able to still remain active and play some baseball. So, we'll definitely be bringing you more updates and news as this news progresses, and I'm hoping for the best. But although I am expecting for spring training not to commence on time, and there to be a delay, and maybe even not have a spring training.
That'd be unfortunate. I hope you're wrong in saying that.
I hope I'm proved wrong. So we will see. So, and we're down to our, we're in overtime now, Ed. So we're now down to saying our last comment of the show before we tell everyone, goodbye until next show.
Yeah, great show. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we got a lot of news in an hour and 6 minutes, didn't we, Joe?
We sure did. Most definitely. Looking forward to next week. It's going to be another jam-packed show. If we can bring you another one before then, we will definitely try to do that. But until then, Ed, let our awesome listeners know where it is that they can go ahead and find you.
Oh, and just a heads up for the listeners and the viewers, we're working on efforting for a big star next week, a basketball broadcaster. We're working on that. That's all I'm going to say.
Stay tuned. It will be
stay tuned.
A surprise.
Yep.
But yes, Ed.
But for me on Twitter, you can get me on Ed Cole 43, Instagram at Edward Cole 301. Of course, right here on Inside Sports Network, and on Facebook, Edward Cole.
There we go. Capture it all?
Yep. That's it.
All right. You can find me, Johanna-Rosalye, on both Instagram and Twitter at JRosalye. That's JROSALYE. You can find Inside Sports Network on Instagram at Inside Sports Net, and on Twitter at Inside Sports _. And you can also find me on Sun's broadcast through La Mejor. You can find us on TuneIn. There at 106.5 or 1400 FM or 1400 AM Arizona local station. So you can just reach out to me and follow us as well. And I think that's it. I am drawing a blank, but everyone, thank you for tuning in and listening to us. Until next time, this was Inside Sports Talk.